Hey guys, Hell's First here, and I want to talk about some of the nerfs and a little bit of the buffs. Not really much. Kind of the buff to the people that's not getting fucked up by it in Albion Online. Okay? Just got this information dropped, and I wanted to go over it because I don't see a lot of content creators doing it, so hopefully I can be that guy for you. So, hopping into it, here's what we got coming changes. Okay, so they're working on the combat balance patch with various tweaks to go live shortly after the Crystal League Championship, mainly toning down some abilities or items that have been very dominant in certain content types. A later patch afterwards will then focus again more to overhaul some underused items and abilities. So that's where we're going to get some of our buffs, gentlemen. It's going to be fantastic. So, very important. All these changes are still in testing and very vastly different in the final patch. Sometimes we just try our various things, which may get reverted. Also, the balance changes are not necessarily all complete. Just because a certain item is not adjusted in the change log so far, doesn't mean it isn't on our need to be adjusted list. These changes are simply a snapshot of the current development, and everything in there needs to be taken with a grain of salt. This thread is not meant to discuss these unfinished changes. So, it is meant to give players the same chance of guessing the direction of the next balance path. So here we go. Starting it off, bows. Regular bows still very strong pick for 5v5 Crystal League. To make up the damage output a bit less explosive, the ramp up to max stack buff now takes a little longer. On top of this change, the attack buff stacks now fall off faster if the bow is unable to keep attacking. These changes should offer more counterplay and bigger reaction windows for the enemy team, while still keeping the general bow playstyle intact, where it can focus single enemies down really fast once max stack is reached. So what it's doing is Enchanted Quiver is getting attack damage increase per stack. 35% is now dropped to 30%. Also, the attack speed increase per stack is now 13% instead of 15%. Then the max attack buff stack is now 6 to 7. Okay? Attack buff duration now, instead of 5 seconds, is 2.5 seconds. So, it's helping a little bit. The being able to stack the attack buff 7 times, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Next is the Curse Staff. Curse Staffs are another top pick for the 5v5 Crystal League. With the last buffs in the Dark Matter, the ability has become a very dominant pick for 5v5s. While we are happy to see this ability back in the meta, it currently gives Curse Staff a little too much burst damage, which will be toned down a bit. Dark Matter for all the Curse Staff damage for players from 78 to 73. So not huge, but still something that's gonna fuck a couple people up out there with the Curse Staff, right boys? Then we go on to the Holy Staffs. The combination of sustain and mobility makes Hollow Fall too strong in corrupted dungeons. By increasing the cooldown of Divine Intervention, while also increasing the cooldown reduction when at least an ally is healed, the mobility and sustain for solo Hollow Fall players is reduced, without impacting its effectiveness when used to heal allies in group fights. Which I like that. They're focusing on helping keep it the way it is for groups, but giving it a little bit of a kick in the balls in corrupted dungeons. And here's what it did. Divine Intervention is now a 30-second cooldown instead of 25 seconds, and the reduction when hitting an ally went from only 20% to now 35%. Now that's to make up for it. I like it. I think it's a good little deal, and I can live with it. Next here we got the Nature Staffs. They have also become very dominant healers in the 5v5 Crystal League. Similar to the Curse Staffs, the buffed ability Cleanse Heal was introduced to help with Nature's weak point dealing the burst damage. This makes Holy Staffs less attractive, whose main purpose is to be very good at dealing with burst damage. That's why we increase cooldown and Cleanse Heal, to make the burst heal and cleanse less often available and increase the potential for Nature Staff teams to be bursted down. The Blade Staff change is mainly intended to tone down its combination of mobility and sustain in corrupted dungeons, where the slow also helps to create distance or can be used to catch up to enemies. So Cleanse Heal for all Nature Staffs was changed from a 15-second cooldown to an 18-second cooldown. Then Ruthless Nature on the Blight Staff doesn't slow enemies anymore. Now that's a big hit, because Blight Staff was one of those big beat the shit out of most anybody in corrupted dungeons if you knew how to kite properly. And you're not going to be able to kite near as well. Still going to win some games, but you're not going to have as easy a time kiting people around. On to the spears. Glaive has now been very strong frontline melee DPS in 5v5 Crystal League, especially the short cooldown of Fling gives the weapon a lot of control, which will increase the cooldown of Fling to make the control less oppressive. So from 15 seconds to 20 seconds, the cooldown on Fling, not the biggest problem in the world, but it's still going to hurt some of those Crystal League players. Down on the swords. With the buffs to heroic charges in the last patch, the broadsword particularly became a very straightforward weapon with high constant damage output from a very low cooldown E ability, which can be hard to counter. To make it less oppressive, we are increasing the cooldown of Mighty Blow. This will increase the gaps between the damage spikes and resistance increases. So, Mighty Blow was changed from a 10-second cooldown to a 12-second cooldown. That's barely anything, but it's going to make a little bit of a difference, guys. Also, they changed up some shoes. So the buff from the latest patch made Royal Boots a top choice in corrupted dungeons. They offer a very strong shoe ability to chase down opponents if they are not erupted or purged, which makes the ability very risky to use for disengagements. In this way, they work as intended. However, the max movement speed they currently provide is just a little too high. They are also very good at suddenly rush to an enemy off screen. Hit the enemy player once to prevent that player from changing abilities. That is why we're reducing the max speed to give more time to react to a player rushing in with mass Royal March stacks. They changed it. The movement speed was 9% on Royal March. They made it 8% per stack. So still going to be quick, guys, just not that quick. Not something that's going to kick your ass as easily. So this has been all of the updates that we know for the next patch coming up here real soon. I can't wait for it. Any changes or any other things they add to it, I'll be sure to let you know. Make sure you tune back to me for every single one of these, because this is where you're going to get it. And as always, I'm Hal's First. And until next time, ta-ta.